What is going on, my friends? It is the first episode of my brand new podcast called Trucking Safety, okay? And like I said in some of the previews, if you watched those, God bless you. If you did, if you didn't, come on. They're like 10 seconds. But anyways, I'm not going to hold that against you because this is going to be a positive atmosphere, okay? We're going to talk about trucking. And we're going to talk about safety and kind of how the two worlds come together. Now, I know that a lot of you are probably going, that sounds like an incredibly boring podcast. And maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would have maybe agreed with you. But today, no, I do not agree with that assumption. Safety in the trucking industry is incredibly important. I can't, there are times when I see guys that kind of overlook it. And it makes me wonder, what in the world are you thinking? Now, don't get me wrong. I understand what they're thinking. I just don't agree with it. They're thinking, safety doesn't make me any money. Safety is not a profit generator. Safety and revenue do not go in the same sentence. And you are correct, okay? I'll give you that one. Being safe will not make you really any money like operations would. However, if you are not safe and you are not following safety protocols, it will cost you a ton, okay? Hear me when I say that. If you do not follow safety protocols in your trucking company, it will cost you a ton of money down the road, okay? And there are multiple ways that it will cost you a ton of money. And those ways we are going to get into in this podcast. My goal with this thing is to warn you guys about some of the dangers that might come with avoiding safety or ignoring safety. And again, I know why a lot of companies do it is because operations makes the money. They need to make money, especially in this economy right now with trucking the way it is. It's difficult out there. I get it, okay? But that is not a reason to ignore safety. You have to be safety minded in everything that you do when it comes to trucking. Because again, like I said, if you ignore safety, you will be in big trouble. And I'm not here to scare you on any of this, okay? I don't mean to scare. This isn't one of those horror podcasts, okay, where, it kind of gives you the creeps. Although maybe my appearance does. There's nothing I can do about that. I apologize. But no, I'm not here to scare you about anything with safety. I'm here to help you with all things when it comes to trucking safety. And that is the goal of my podcast. We are going to keep things short. I'm not going to have hour-long podcasts unless we interview, some super famous person, or if a conversation gets going long. We're not going to have long podcasts, okay? I want to keep these things short. My favorite podcast I listen to, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I should say one of my favorite podcasts, because I've got a number of podcasts out there I enjoy. But one of my favorite ones is only about 15 to 20 minutes long, and I like that. Because that, you get a little sense of it, and then you're done. I don't need to keep rambling on about safety. Because let's be honest here, if I did an hour-long safety podcast, none of you would make it to the end. And I know what you're saying. Oh, of course we would. We can listen to you read the phone book, Sam. And to that, I call you a liar, okay? So I am going to keep these things short. I want to cover little bits and pieces of safety that go along with the trucking industry. I want for these to be concise so that you pay attention, because I hope, and this is my hope and my prayer for this podcast, is that every time you listen to it, you learn something new. There might be a couple times where you go, old news. Okay, there's something, I can't help you with that. And I'm sure a lot of you have, safety. You understand what some of it is. You understand the hours of service. You understand splits. I'm just kidding. No one understands splits. But we're going to dive into that eventually. But you probably have a broad view of safety, just like I did a handful of years ago. But maybe you don't know exactly why things are like that or how to do some things in safety. And that's what we're going to cover. I've got a whole list of topics that I want to get to. One of the other things that we're going to be a little bit different with is we're not going to have guests all the time. Now, we will have some. I've got a handful that I've got on my list, and we will eventually get to that. But we're not going to be just one of those talking with a guest for an hour-long podcast. And hear me when I say this. There's nothing wrong with that. I find those fascinating. It's just not something I want to do. So we're going to keep things short, and I'm going to talk, and we're going to learn about safety together because, again, like I said, it is something that should not be ignored. And if I can help you out with anything with that, that is what my goal is with this podcast. I want to make sure that you are running a safe fleet down the road so that A, you don't get into any accidents that could claim a life or permanently disable somebody, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants that unless you're in the mafia. But this is not your podcast, okay? So I want that. And B, if you're a safe fleet, you are a profitable fleet, okay? Now, I know you might be thinking I make more money if I drive 80 miles an hour, get to my deliveries, get to my pickups, all that kind of stuff. You're just playing a game of chance at that point. But if you follow the rules with safety, you pull good equipment, your freight is secured in the back there, you will make more money than if you are a dangerous carrier. And we'll get into all that. That's one of my goals with this podcast, is to just pass on the knowledge that I've got and that other people I've talked to have, so that you can understand how to run things safely. Or maybe not understand, but maybe there's something that you didn't know, or something that, oh, that's why we do this. I want those light bulb moments. My last name's Watts, for Pete's sakes, okay? Light bulb is basically my last name. I want you guys I want those to be firing off during the podcast going, that's why we do it. Cool. So real quick, before I end this first episode, I just wanted to briefly introduce myself, give myself a little bit of a background to you in case you don't know, because if you're going to tune in to this podcast, you're going to want to be able to trust me. You're going to want to know that I know what I'm talking about. And so I will tell you a little bit about my background. So I was basically born and raised in the trucking industry. My father was a driver, and I am the reason that he got off the road, because I've got an older sister, and then my mom had me, and then she said, hey, guess what? You're not leaving me for a couple weeks anymore. You're going to stay home, get a dispatcher job. And so that's what my father did. And from there, he just kind of rose up through the ranks, dispatcher, customer service, director of operations, all the way up to VP and general manager of a very large trucking company. And so I was kind of along for the ride and all that. When I say I grew up in the trucking industry, my earliest memories were walking in to terminals and just having that haze of smoke, because I was back in the glory days when you could smoke at your desk and you'd see dispatchers lighting one cigarette with the one they're about to put out. It's just one of those environments. So I've got those early memories of just hazy terminals. And so I went right along with them every step of the way with that, and got to learn the industry really inside and out. And then there was a brief moment where I was going to become the next Steven Spielberg. And so I got out of trucking and decided to go into broadcasting for college, and decided or quickly found out that was incredibly difficult to get into that business. So I said, you know what? Maybe I should give this trucking thing another chance. And so I did. And there's a couple other things too. I worked in a wood shop for a while. That was kind of cool. Still got, all my digits, which is good. I successfully passed that. But I decided to get back into trucking, and I come at it from an operations standpoint. Like I said, my father was in operations, so I kind of naturally gravitated towards operations, becoming a dispatcher. And when I say I did everything, I have done everything in a trucking company, I think I can say that. Except, and I know this might come as a shock to some of you, I've never had a CDL. And now maybe half of you are just writing me off right now saying, he wasn't really a trucker, whatever. I never had a CDL, so don't hold that against me. But I have been on ride-alongs. I know what the trucker life is like. I mean, I've experienced all that, maybe not been fully integrated over the road, but I know the challenges you face out there because I have talked to truck drivers my entire life, okay? Some of my best friends are truck drivers. I'm just kidding. No one's best friend is a truck driver. Again, I'm just kidding, okay? That's the thing, is we're going to have a little light mood in this podcast too. We're going to have a little fun. So I grew up in the trucking industry. In about 2015, something like that, my father decided to start his own trucking company. And naturally, I went along with him and helped him out with that. So I worked in logistics, brokerage for that. I did operations. We did sales. I did accounting. That was a train wreck. But I did everything in that trucking company. That really gave me a good education as to what needs to be done, how a trucking company really functions, because up until then, I was just running operations, so we'd pick up a load, deliver a load, the bill would go off into no man's land, and somehow it got paid and I got a paycheck. But when my father decided to start a trucking company, that's when I needed to kind of figure out how the whole process worked, which I did. And so in that trucking company, we were, and I don't know if you know this, but when you are a new company, a new MC, new DOT number, after a year, you will get audited, kind of like a DOT coming in to check and see how you're doing. Well, we did that. We did not do very well in that audit because we were operations guys. We knew how to make money. We didn't know safety. So after that, we got put in what is called the conditional rating, which if you know safety, that's like the middle grounds. You don't really want to be there, although you'd rather be there than unsatisfactory because then your company gets shut down. But we got thrown in conditional rating. So that's when I kind of first said, I should probably figure some of the safety stuff out. And that's what I did. So from about 2015, 2016 on, I started learning everything I possibly could about safety and how that all kind of works and how it ties in together. And so I feel like I've got kind of a unique background in that I have an operations background with safety. So I understand a lot of the times what operations is trying to do. And there are times when I can kind of figure out from the safety standpoint how they can do that. Now, if they say we've got a 20-hour run and he's only got 10 hours to go, that I can't do anything about. But there are times when we can say, okay, have him run for 2 hours, shut down, do a split, get back up, just things like that. I feel with my background in operations, that is one of my strong points is I can help figure out how to do your stuff safely. Okay. So that's a little bit about me. After that, I started doing safety for other companies, for a tanker company, now with a mid-sized company. And I love it. I really do like safety. It's really, there is a lot of like legal mumbo jumbo jargon. And there's a lot of times where I got to be the bad guy to truck drivers and operations and sometimes accounting and the brokerage department. You just got to be the bad guy in everything, basically. But I sometimes I have to do that, but I like it. I like how the safety operates in a trucking company. And I like that, there's not a lot of people that are in safety. And so when we get together, we have a secret handshake and we're making Letterman jackets because we're a secret exclusive club. But I'm here to break all those secrets open. I want to share them all with you in this podcast. And this is going to be totally interactive, okay? I want to hear from you guys and girls, both people. I want to hear from all of you. What do you want to learn? What comments do you have? Anything like that. How's my hair? I don't care. I want to be interactive. So if you do have comments, questions, concerns, deep, dark secrets that you just need to get off your chest, contact me. Maybe not the deep, dark secrets. That might be a little incriminating. I don't want to be embedding or aiding and abetting any known criminals. Cool? Okay. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. That's what this show is going to be about. I'm really looking forward to getting this thing going. I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be interesting. But I guess I'll let you guys be the real ultimate judge of that. So if you will, why don't you come along with me and let's talk a little bit of trucking safety.